Linkin Park is celebrating the 20th anniversary of their beloved album Meteora, releasing Meteora 20 on April 7th. It's available now for pre-order. And if you're familiar with the way Linkin Park has done anniversary editions like the 20th anniversary of Hybrid Theory, they pretty much release everything they can find related to these classic records. That's how it was with Hybrid Theory, at least, where you heard alternate versions of songs, early demos with different lyrics. It's fascinating for one of the biggest rock albums of all time. And I expect this won't be any different with Meteora. In fact, the band uncovered a song that was initially intended to be on Meteora, but they went with a different song that you might know called Numb. And these albums like Hybrid Theory and Meteora with Linkin Park are filled with hits front to back. So even the songs that don't make the cut onto the record are going to be fantastic, as we found out with this song called Lost. And if you want to know just how hard the Linkin Park fans still ride for the band and they still ride for Chester, this video in just a few days has 14 million views already on a video for a song that was unreleased from an album 20 years ago. That's really impressive. So to promote this box set or anniversary edition, whatever you want to call it, Mike Shinoda appeared on The Stern Show earlier today, and he was asked a number of questions. He talked about his relationship with Chester, the emotions he felt losing such a close friend, and he was asked about some of the struggles that Chester went through. He said that nobody in the band knew the depths of what Chester was going through. He said, "Nobody knew the depths of it. When I met Chester, I didn't know his stories. As I got to know him, I would find myself oftentimes saying, I've never heard such a crazy upbringing, such a crazy childhood, running wild in the streets and doing hard drugs on the roof of his high school, just barely staying out of jail. And that's what made our dynamic what it was. I didn't grow up like that. I felt like I was an outsider because I was a mixed race kid that didn't have a community to belong to. I'm half Japanese. I didn't speak Japanese. I don't look Japanese. The white kids thought I was obviously not white. The Latino kids were starting to speak Spanish to me. I didn't speak any Spanish. I was always floating around and didn't have a home." Howard asked if they had difficulty dealing with each other because of their different backgrounds. He said, "No, not the whole time. Early days, more difficult because we didn't know how it was going to go. Like on early days Hybrid Theory, we were still getting started and we'd get a win here and get a loss there. We sent a song to radio. They're playing it. Oh, the show is going to be kind of a small show. It's going to be hard to get there. You're going to have to drive all night. It's going to be tough. You're going to be exhausted. Oh, by the way, we all just got sick. It was hard. And so in the midst of all of that, having a guy who would sneak out, he'd just go missing and come back obliterated, that you couldn't even talk to him. He was just so wasted, but also funny. Ever see that Friends episode where they had the Fun Bobby? The Fun Bobby is hilarious. Everybody loves him. And then the second he gets sober, nobody likes him anymore. There was an element of Chester that was very fun sometimes when he was that way, and usually the next day he'd be like, so dark. He's super hungover, he's angry at everybody, yelling at everybody, and you're just kind of like, let's get through the day." Another subject during this interview that came out was that there were some rumors that Chester Bennington didn't like their massive hit song In the End, to which Mike said no, he actually liked it. He just kind of preferred some of the heavier stuff. He talked about how this wonderful song was written. He said that one thing that is like hard to wrap your head around is that I wrote that piano line, the chords to the chorus, I wrote some raps, I did all of the programming from the beats, sitting in a rehearsal space on Hollywood and Vine overnight. Outside, it was like, junkies and prostitutes. It was bad. We locked the doors to the whole unit because we didn't want anybody getting in. Speaking of Chester, he said he liked the song. He just loved really heavy stuff. And so when people were like, this should be a single, it's not the one he would have chosen. Shinoda also said he wasn't sure this was a hit song. He said because he was so young at the time, he really didn't know what a hit song was. It didn't feel big to me. It didn't feel like a hit song. I wouldn't know what a hit song felt like. I was too young. He said, though, the band's drummer Rob immediately recognized this as a hit. He said, he was like, dude, this is a song that we've been waiting for. Like, this is the best song we've got. Meteora 20 will release on April 7th. You can learn more at linkinpark.com. That's your latest update from Rockfeed. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet, and check out the recommended video up on your screen.